Right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the final video in this exciting trilogy of the movement of light. We've covered reflection, refraction, and this time in the third one we'll cover dispersion. Dispersion is the name given to when light passes through a prism. It describes how the prism separates out the white light into all of its constituent colours. That's basically it. If you want a nice little graphic to remember it, I'm sure you're all Pink Floyd fans, and they showed dispersion through a prism on the album cover of Dark Side of the Moon, the original album cover, which is above my head. Now, for once, there's not much of an opportunity for me to go off script here and start rambling like I usually do. I've only got 2 slides to show you, or 3 slides. It's a very simple topic, really. There's only 2 sentences in the syllabus. One sentence is to describe how light disperses as it goes through the prism, and the other thing is a little bit of vocabulary, which I'll give you at the end. Okay, so I promise I'll go through this one very, very quickly. To start with, I think it's a good idea just to go back to the electromagnetic spectrum. If you're unsure about that, go back to the video we did on that topic, please, before you carry on. But the electromagnetic spectrum, you should remember, is the collection of all of the electromagnetic waves. Those are waves that don't need a medium or particles to move. They move through the vibration of electric fields and magnetic fields. And these are the electromagnetic waves: radio waves, microwaves, infrared, ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma, and in the middle, the visible light. When all of these colours are combined, we call it polychromatic light or white light. But there is a way you can separate out all of those wavelengths into the separate colours. It's worth remembering, please, we go from long wavelength electromagnetic waves here to short wavelength waves here. And we do the same when we go through the visible spectrum, or visible light spectrum. We go in order from long wavelength light to short wavelength light at that end. So we go from red to violet through the spectrum. Okay, so then the only thing is, how does this work? How does dispersion work through a prism? So here's a less exciting version of the Pink Floyd cover. Here's a prism. It's just a triangular block of glass, triangular prismatic block of glass, I should say. White light is hitting the first surface at an angle. You already know what happens when light hits a transparent object at an angle. It refracts. So we get refraction at the first surface. It carries on to the second surface and refracts again. So a prism is just giving you double refraction. And what happens is, because these different colours are different wavelengths, short wavelength light, which is basically this end, the violet end, refracts more than red wavelength light. And you get everything in between. So everything is being refracted by a different amount, depending on what its original wavelength is. And you separate out the colours. Now the syllabus does say you need to remember the order of this dispersion. And the way you remember it, please, is, I know we've talked about this in the class, you need to remember it in order. Roy, G, Viv. Or if you're a bit more lyrical than me, when I was at school, we were taught the rhyme, or the mnemonic. Richard of York gave battle in vain. I think it's easier to remember Roy, G, Biv. And those letters obviously stand for, in order, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Although violet there looks more pink than violet to me. But there you go. Okay, that's almost it. The only other thing I would say is, on the syllabus, I said there was a bit more vocabulary. I've mentioned one of the words already. White light is usually referred to as polychromatic light. Chromatic. polychromatic. And when you separate the light into its different colours, these different colours are referred to as monochromatic. Poly meaning many, chrome, colour, and here mono, single or one colour. So polychrome, monochrome, and if you're Paul Simon, Kodachrome. That was a joke for all of you fans of 70s music. If you like Pink Floyd. If you don't know Paul Simon, look up the song Kodachrome. I think you'll like the opening lyric. It's one of the best opening lyrics of 70s music. Okay, now as far as I can see, that's everything. Yeah. So I'm going to set this work with a little worksheet for you to have a look at. Take care of yourselves and your family as always, and I will speak to you at our lesson this week. Okay, goodbye everybody.